right, everybody, let's do a brief audio and visual check. How's everybody tonight? Last night of the year, and then we have a 2-day break. We have a nice little weekend, shortened week. Give me a moment while I get a few things set up on my end. Looks like loud and clear. Give me just a moment. Let's see. Let's go through this. All right, well, let's get to it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, in the YouTube chat, there's a top step risk disclosure. Everything I say and do that you see is going to be for educational purposes only. Now, that being said, it's the last night before the New Year's. I'm going to be ending class. I mean, it's still going to be a 1-hour long class, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit quick tonight. We'll get some questions. I'm not going to be trading. I'm done trading for the year. I'm going to be reviewing statistics all day tomorrow and probably the next, and then even into the weekend of my year review and all that fun stuff. So let's just get to it to do our regular rapid fire, NASDAQ, crude oil, gold, and then the Nikkei and then gold. Maybe we'll take a look at Bitcoin and answer some questions. So that being said, this is the NASDAQ daily, and as you could see with after today, we had that very, very big move down, and we sold off. We got back down towards this, near the low of where we were at during that Powell speech and that decision. And that was, basically we got down right towards this support or resistance area, the support and resistance here on the daily. So that was really interesting. We got down, you guys seen it during the New York session, towards these mid 200s, bounced, recovered. It looks like we are pushing higher tonight. We have a green candlestick here on the daily, but once again, this was resistance. Well, it was support, resistance. This was support back in middle December, so 18th, 19th, and 20th, and it just became support today. Now, as we start to zoom in, the hourly candlestick, so the hourly chart, you kind of see it. It's pretty clear now, obviously, with the power of hindsight. This was a nice level of support. And, this was the level that I was kind of playing off this morning during the New York session, this little support level. And then, obviously, as we zoom out, you can kind of see how this was extended. It's a zone. Everything's a zone. You can maybe make it a little bit wider, and there's a lot of resistance around here. And so if we're going to bounce off of it and we're going to find some support, it would make sense. Now, obviously, you never know, because the market could have easily kept selling off. Maybe we find support at 200. Maybe we go all the way down to 21,000 and down to this level. Fortunately, and how everything played out during the New York session, we found some nice support off of there. And we rallied up. And sure enough, just like, last night, now with the beautiful power of hindsight, right? This was simply just a pullback. I was looking to buy here last night. You guys seen me in that long. I got stopped out, got crushed, and it completely sold off. And, we didn't get that leg up, and we didn't get to push higher. This was simply a pullback from the sell-off, and we just got that continuation down. We got the continuation down here in the NASDAQ. And after that, once we found the support, we bounced up. And guess what? Once again, the same thing. This level was support, right? 1, 2, 3 times. Guess what? Support became resistance. Now it's a zone. It's a zone. It's always easier to read and understand after the hindsight. And so we're in an interesting level here in the NASDAQ. It's the end of the year. I'm not looking to be trading. I'm not going to be trading today. I probably won't even trade. I don't know, maybe I'll wait until Thursday night or Friday to even place a trade. I'm not 100% sure, but I think for me, maybe we come back up and test these 500s, and you can see we did sell off very hard to end the New York session. We came down, we found some support here again in these 300s. We're kind of got a 3-bar reversal coming into play. And, maybe we catch a bid all the way up to these upper 400s again. Not sure. Maybe we see a lot of crazy price action. I think that was the last decent trades for me to end of the year. And I think what I'm going to do is just come back on Thursday night and then take a look at the markets and see where we are at from there and basically start fresh. and take it from there. I mean, come Thursday night, come Friday, we could be up or down, 100 or 200 points, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not biased in any direction now. We're kind of in the middle of this crazy move. Maybe we start to see higher lows and some type of consolidation, triangle forming. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be fair enough just to move on. Let's move on. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil, if you guys remember what I was looking at last night, everyone, if you do remember, it's kind of playing out to be like that. It's playing kind of how I was looking at it a little bit, where we was looking at some higher lows starting to form. We zoom into an hourly chart, and you guys could start to see that, where, how I was talking higher low. Crude's been in such a consolidation mode. It's been tough to trade. We finally got that. It looks like we're starting to get that little bit of a breakout. With a breakout, we came back, tested support, right? This was resistance. When we break out of resistance, it looks like it pulled back. Resistance became support. Do we see that continuation up towards $72 a barrel? That could be a decent trade over the holiday. That could be a very decent trade over the holiday. And then, maybe the next target could be up here towards the $75 a barrel level. So that is the trade I'm looking at in crude. I'm looking for, I was talking with Coach Jay a little bit, where, it's, it's one of those situations where you don't trade it until after the market changes, where it's been buy low, sell high. We've been consolidating, but yeah, I'm starting to see that pattern form, and it's starting to play out. So I think there is definitely an opportunity, at least, to come up and test these 75s. We'll see. I'm not going to trade it, but that's why I talked about yesterday, and we're starting to see it play out again tonight. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to start following crude a little more closely, because I do like the opportunities to the long side. Moving on, let's take a look at Nikkei. Nikkei, after the fact, was one heck of a trade. In terms of shorting this range. We could take a look at this hourly chart, and yeah, sure enough, this played out really well. We had that nice rally up to this 40,000, 500s to 400s, up to this upper zone, and completely sold off. And so what's the next play? Maybe we look for a higher low, right? Where we found, here's a low. This one's ever so slightly higher. Technically, we are higher. And then, this is now a higher low. This is an hourly chart, so this is looking at higher time frame. And so maybe there's something to looking for, maybe a higher low here. Like, that could be a possibility, on very similar to what we've seen in crude oil, where we're making these higher lows and we're making these equal highs. There could be some type of opportunity if we get some type of consolidation here below 39,000, or basically around 39,000 to where we are at now. That could be a possibility. It's definitely something I'm looking at. It's something I'm watching. And from a technical perspective, maybe we start to look for some of this, major support, where this has been some major support. Maybe that becomes support again. We take a look and we start to zoom in, and we say, where, it looks like we did find support during the New York session, right? Look, this was major resistance. That could have been a really good trade during the New York session. Take a look at that, right? Resistance. We broke out. We pushed back. Resistance became support. We came down here again, this morning during the New York session, and had a nice little rally off of that. I say little, but that's a 1% rally, and now we're right back down there. And it's very reasonable if we do break below this. Maybe we do see that continuation down to closer to 39,000. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, but there's going to be some opportunities, I feel, that maybe looking for some buying opportunities around this 39,000 zone, around this 39,000 level. next, let's go ahead and we'll keep moving forward. We'll take a look at gold. My drawings are still on that. Let's see how they played off pretty well. I don't know. Let's see. Looks like we did sell off back down to the bottom of this consolidation area. Got it bounced. We broke through. And gold's looking heavy. Gold's looking heavy the more I look at that. Let me look at the daily chart on gold first. Let's see. It's still just hard. It's hard for me to trade gold. Sure, we did break down. There's a lot of support here. And it looks like that support became resistance. The question is, are we going to be making higher lows? Is this going to be another higher low? Or are we going to find a continuation down and maybe come down and test? Are we going to test this key zone again? Are we going to test 2550s? Maybe. This is a tough market to trade. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, there's going to be a lot happen between now and, Monday of next week. And I think Monday of next week after the new year, where things start to settle down a little bit, then we could see a lot more clarity and markets to be a little bit easier to trade. Easier in perspective of not a lot of random movements. No, we don't have any holidays, and things could start to smooth out a little bit. Now, that being said, let's go ahead. Let's jump to some questions. Ask me some questions. Like I said, tonight is just going to be a shortened night. I'm not trading, and it's the holidays, so I think it's only fair. There's not too much to be talking about, and it would just be kind of overextending it if I'm going to be sitting here for an hour and a half. So that being said, let's go through and get to some questions, and my mouth is just super dry. Oh, that tastes like crap. Oh, that's not the right one. This morning was an amazing trade. For me, it's hard to get that mentality after 3 years since I started. Even with the back testing, I still struggle. Let's talk about this morning's trade. Where are we at? This is the NASDAQ. Where's the 5-minute chart? Okay, so this morning's trade. So everything's in perspective. Okay, everybody. I want to make sure that's very clear. There's a lot of misunderstandings. Traders don't understand. I'm trying to think of how I can word this. It's all about perspective. It's all about understanding its process over profits. So many traders that I see in the chat and then I see on social media focus too much on the dollar amounts. They focus way too much on the dollar amounts. When they seen this morning's trade and they said, wow, that's so much. You have nerves of steel. You're so calm and patient, and it's really about perspective. And I can almost guarantee you that everybody in this chat, if they place a trade with one micro, right? So one MNQ, and they place one entry with one micro, and they're looking at, say, the dollar amounts, and they look at this, they would be okay with it, right? Like, they'll be okay. They're like, wow, I'm only risking $179, and say you're going for something like this, right? Wow, okay, I'm risking 179 to make 175. That's not bad. Now, everybody in the chat would probably be okay with holding this, not feeling emotional, not carrying these little fluctuations of the market, and it would be a lot easier for them and for everybody here to follow their process and not think about the profits, right? Because yeah, one micro, one MNQ, and say, wow, we got a 3-bar reversal. I'm looking for us to return to 503. Now, that's simple. That's easy. I'm okay with risking that. Maybe you even have a tighter stop loss, and you just say, okay, I'm going to risk $153 to make 175. that's simple. Some traders would say, that's not enough, that's too small, that's this, that's that. Well, that's not the point. The point is the process. Now, if you watched me trade this morning, I was probably risking at most like 40 points, maybe 50 points. If we turn this into points, okay, click on save. Now take a look at this. Now you're saying, oh, wow, you're risking 76 points to make 87 points. That's huge, right? That's huge. Now we're looking at the points. And, now we go ahead and jump into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't change much. You don't look at the dollars. You don't think about that. And maybe you're looking for this to return up to these highs. And now you're like, okay, I'm risking 80 points. Okay, that's the process. I'm okay with risking 80 points to make 140 points with 5 contracts. And that's how you have to think of it. And so when I'm trading in front of everybody, that is the way I process the market. That's the way I process my trades. If we replay this morning's New York session where I get in with 5 minis, right? 5 minis, that's big. That's big relative in terms of dollar amounts and maybe depending on your account size. And that's why I'm saying it's relative. But you really have to think of it at points. Because if this was 5 minis and say I'm risking, I'm going to do an even number for math, 100 points on 5 minis, you don't look at that as 100 points. People's going, wow, you're risking $10,000 and think it's crazy. You're like, wow, you are absolutely insane. It's like, no, it's not. That's the process. Let me go into minis and just explain it, because this is just a demo account. And so if I'm going to jump into 5, this is my normal position, and we're looking at this type of a trade. Okay, that's it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Risking 80 to make 140 points. It's the process. It is always and will always be the process. Now, if you jump to the dollar amounts, going back to the dollar amounts, jumping back and forth to make a point here, dollar amounts, and then you can see, wow, this person is absolutely insane. They're risking $8,000 on one trade to make 14,000. So that was basically the reason for that. Whenever someone tells me that I have no emotions, I seem so calm, and all of those, things, which I appreciate it. I love the compliments, but it's not anything special. It's the same process, and I look at it as one micro. I'm looking at the points. I'm like, okay, my daily loss limit's 50 points. My daily loss limit's 50 points based off of 5 minis. 50 points on 5 minis is $5,000. I typically don't want to risk any more than 50 points. $5,000 per session. Slow markets last night, I lost 5,000. Everyone's seen it. New York session, I started down 5,000. I started down 50 points. I ended up 120 points, $12,000. It was a 180 point swing from high to low, for example. And so that's what I think of it. I don't care whether I win or lose to an extent. And it's all relative. And we have to understand, depending on the account balance, depending on how you look at this, because $8,000 for, say, a $20,000 account is huge. You're risking half your account almost. But then $8,000 for a $400,000 account is pretty small. You're risking about 1%. And so it's still 100% perspective. How much are you risking in terms of percentage? How much are you risking in terms of percentage? How's the process? How many points are you going for? How many points is your stop loss? What your process is? Does this make sense? And you think through those things, and that's basically it. Command, that's 2%. Maybe I'm thinking 5,000 is 1%, is probably what I'm thinking. 5,000 should be closer to 1% for... Anyway, I think you get the point. That's kind of the reason why maybe everyone thinks I look emotionless. And then also, to be honest, I have a hard time saying this on stream and live in front of everybody, but $100 to say a normal person might not be much, and I would say that's the same comparison for $5,000 for me on a normal daily trading. So I don't like to say it. I'll never talk about any personal accounts that I trade or anything that I have on my personal side, or talk about money from that aspect. But there is a level of that to where it's like, hey, I lost 5,000 today, or I lost 10,000. That's not a big deal. It'd be the same for like, oh, I lost $50. I lost $100 in a single trade. So maybe that also leads to some of those emotions. I mean, we take a look at, Rips when he was playing poker against in Bobby's room against Phil Ivey and all them. They're playing with $250,000 in front of them. And do you really think they are very emotional about $5,000, right? Where it's, hey, I have $250,000 in front of me. I bet $5,000. Yeah, they lost it. They fold. Okay, move on to the next. No, it's about knowing that you have a positive expectancy, and over the, based off of what do you want to call it? A period of time, you'll have a positive expectancy on the long run. Like losing a tic tac. All right, let's get to some of these questions. And let's do it. Let's spend the next 30 minutes getting to questions, answering some questions, and having a good conversation. You need to start thinking of that. I mean, in reality, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. Money should be looked at as a tool. So just like a construction worker, or someone that's digging a hole or a ditch looks at a shovel as a tool to get the job done, or a roofer is going to look at a nail gun as a tool to get the job done, or plug in any example where you're using a tool to get the job done. Money to us as traders is that tool. We're using money as a tool to get the job done. And we have to know how to use that tool. Now, we have a whole bunch of tools like a platform, internet, a computer, technical analysis, all of these features on the platform, and a lot of tools to help us get the job done. But money is simply just a tool to get the job done as well. And it depends on how big your tool is too, right? I mean, are you looking to be, is your job that you have to get done, $100 a day? Is your job that you need to get done $200 a day? And you have to understand that. And the better you get at your process, then you can start to scale your account. The conversation could get off track really fast. So let's change topics. Coach, do you use order flow tools to confirm entry or candle? I do not. I do not watch the order flow. I typically watch just basic technical analysis. Yeah. Do you use support and resistance and technical analysis when you put in trades overnight? Yes, Natasha, I do. Every single night. You guys see the way I trade. It's technical analysis, support and resistance. When I put trades overnight, when I put trades during the New York session, anytime I place a trade, it is based off of technical analysis when I'm trading. And I do not use indicators. But I do think indicators can be a very good and useful tool. On the NASDAQ trade you took earlier, I had gotten in on the long on that first pullback, but it's hard for me to hold on a pullback. I cut them off too early. Advice. I think I just went through that advice where we could go through today's trade, right? The New York session. I'm gonna zoom into a 100 tick chart so I could show you today like that trade. So here's the trade that I took today during the New York session. I got in long at So we had the break. I got in long at like 32.75. Say we had that nice, really, this is, we had that news come out. We consolidated. We made a higher low, right? Here's a low. We made that higher low. We pushed up. We got a little bit of a pullback. And as soon as we broke out, I got in. And it was immediately like 50 points. Just boom, straight up. We got the pullback. And then straight up, I took some profits. And then we had that big sell-off. And I actually added right here. I added in this zone. And, looking for this market to make higher lows. And the way that I find the confidence to just be okay with these pullbacks, right? We had a pullback. We had a pullback. And, I don't know. Are these the same measures, right? We talk about measured moves. Take a look at these measured moves. But holding through these pullbacks, I didn't hold it through the entire time, but holding through these pullbacks, or even if you zoom in and holding through these pullbacks, right? Holding through these smaller pullbacks, and you could do the measured move on these as well, is the whole thing. The main thing that helps me is zooming out. If you zoom out, or if you change time frames, like the 5-minute chart, and we start going like this, and we start looking at kind of a top-down view, it's a lot easier to hold through those little moves, right? And I say little moves, it's once again in comparison, and where now if we put that entry at 132 or something, the entry was right here. And then now we start to look at this from a bigger perspective, a top-down view. Like, okay, well, the market could come up and test this, and the market could also come up and maybe test this. Then any of those smaller incremental moves means a lot less now, right? They don't look as big. They don't feel as emotional. And we're looking at the process. So process over profits. And I'm sure you could probably say the same thing if you look at the hourly chart, right? And we take a look at what happened on the hourly chart. There's a lot less emotions that happened in those 2 hours. And you can see 132, you entered. What happened on the hourly chart? Well, it looks like we kind of just went up. We pulled back. We closed. We pulled back down almost to my entry. We rallied all the way back up. And there's a lot less emotions when it comes to those really small moves that you see on smaller time frames when we like are really zoomed in, and you could just overthink all these little movements in the market. And so you really have to understand what time frame you're trading, what time frame the setup is, and focus on the process that you're trading over any type of emotional reaction you have over profits, right? Like every little tiny like move would have been able to like scare me out of the market, right? Like I came up and then we had this big sell-off. And sure, you know what? Maybe there was an example where I'm like, oh man, we're gonna break down here, and then it stops out so many traders, and then we just rally. And then again, you know, maybe the market's gonna sell off or gonna go back down, and you know, it might. That's part of trading, is you're not gonna win every trade, and it's hard to hold through something like that. It really is. And to be honest, more times than not, the better thing is, you know, as new traders, it's like see money, take money. And now, ooh, this one looks, look, I'm doing this analysis. I didn't even see this during the New York session, right? Well, we had this little breakout where we broke through that. We pulled all the way back down, and then we had that rally. So I didn't see this one during the New York session. That's interesting, right? That kind of makes sense now, obviously, with hindsight, but there's a good example. It's kind of funny how I did happen to just get in right there. That is definitely an interesting one. Yeah, so process over profits on anything that you do in the market. And then you would have your rules that says when something's invalidated or when something gets out. You take a look at the way I trade. You take a look at the way Mohammed trades, or Jay, or anybody you see on TopstepTV. Everybody trades differently. Hey, Coach, a question about your trade this morning. Same thing. You were in your profit, but your stop loss was not at break even. However, you mentioned that you had your finger on the close button. Why not the stop loss to break even? So I have a hard time. I don't like moving. So say this is my entry, and I do not like just moving my stop loss to break even for no reason. For example, if I move my stop loss to break even, then sometimes everybody knows this in the market. Sometimes we just get random moves that just go straight down and then straight back up for whatever reason in like less than a second. Like it's just straight down, straight up for whatever reason. Just go run stops. I mean, you can see it. You've seen it here, right? Where it was just straight down and just immediately straight back up. And then I could only tell you how many people had their stop loss just below this, right? They bought here, just moved their stop loss just below that, and then down, straight up. And I think we've seen it over here too, right? It's just like down. That was the low of the day too. This is the low of the day. So you can imagine how it felt where traders who ended up buying, say this, for example, had their stop loss here. And as soon as it started to, so for example, say they bought here and it started to rally, and their entry is this, right? Say their entry's at 63, and say maybe this is their stop loss. This is my stop loss. And as soon as it starts to go in their favor, they move their stop loss to break even, and then they get something like this, right? And you're like, what? My stop loss was in a good position. Like I had the correct stop loss was right. However, because I moved my stop loss to break even, it stopped me out, and then if I wouldn't have moved my stop loss, it would have been a good trade. And so whatever your process is, all I will say is be consistent about it. There's no right or wrong way. If you have a process, and if your strategy is to move your stop loss to break even, do it. Be consistent about it. Don't make an emotional decision like, oh, I move my stop loss to break even this time, but then maybe this time I don't. And then this time I will. And this time I won't, based off of how you feel or what you're seeing. Make sure you can measure it. If it's measurable, you can improve it. And if it's measurable, you can, hopefully be consistent. I know a lot of great traders who will move their stop loss to break even, but they do it for a reason, and they do it consistently for that reason. Hopefully that answers and that helps. Tonight's a good one. These are some good questions. I like these questions. Do you look at higher time frames to get an entry? I do. I look at higher time frames to get the trade idea and get the setup. Lower time frames to get an entry. Do you think that not finding consistency after 5 to 4 years of trading is a sign to quit? Tourist, no. No, that I do not. I think 4 to 5 years of not finding consistency is not a reason to quit. If you really love trading, and if that's something you really want to do, I wouldn't look at that as a sign to quit. If this is something you love, and if this is something that you're passionate about, and it looks like we might be breaking out through this, looks like resistance. Maybe we start to break out and see a run up here towards this 450 level again. If this is something, and if trading is something you're really passionate for, don't quit. No, that's why the statistics are the way they are, where you see only 5% of traders succeed. It is because of the rest, the other 95 to 99% of traders quit. That's it. They just quit. I see little, what do you want to call it, memes or sayings, and so much about where you have a comparison of two people digging a hole, right? There's two people digging a hole, and then one finds a bag of gold or a treasure chest worth of gold, and they come out and they're so happy and they're rich, and then the other one dug just as far and he didn't find everything, and then that one just gives up and quits. But if he would have kept going, he would have found, you know, his treasure or even bigger treasure. There's a lot of examples like that, you know, over and over and over again, where your success and your journey is not going to look, and probably shouldn't look, like anyone else's. It's going to be completely different in terms of the way you go. It's going to be a roller coaster. And yeah, if you truly love it, don't quit. If you don't like it, and if you think it's too much for you, take a break. It's okay to take a break, and then, you know, come back after a period of time, and maybe you come back with fresh eyes and maybe a newfound spark to get you motivated. Do fundamentals play into your strategies? No, not in my day trading. Day trading, what you see here at Topstep, fundamentals do not play into my strategies. Unless you consider me being a perma bull and me looking for longs more often than I look for shorts, being a fundamentalist or having fundamentals, because I truly do believe that over a long period of time and over the long run, since we're trading the NASDAQ, it typically goes up and to the right. And so, you know, maybe you can say that fundamentals play into my trading, but it does not affect my individual single trades. Yeah, look at this breakout. Maybe I should be trading this. We're having a nice breakout here in the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the Nikkei. Is Nikkei... Nikkei's looking good. I'll throw a trade on the Nikkei. Let's do it. Let's do it. Trade on. This is a demo account. I'm not going to trade my live. I said I'm done trading my live in this account. For the end of the year. Done for the end of the year in my live. Let's see if I can throw a trade on in a demo. Let's see if we could make some money here on the Nikkei. Breaking through. I like that we're breaking through this level of resistance. This 39,470. Let's see if we get filled. Let's see if we get this filled. I know it's a lot easier to get filled in a demo than a live. I'll take 480. I'll take 480. Richard. Let's go through it. Let's see if we can get this trade. It might not even let me enter this. Well, is it gonna let me in? I'm gonna zoom in. I'm gonna zoom in. I know the chart's ugly. Let's take a look. It might not let me in. Do I ever trail my runners? Yeah, I do. I do trail it. It's not gonna let me in. It's gonna just keep going. It's gonna just go. I'll wait for a pullback. I'll wait for a pullback. Market's already up through 500. Dang it. I don't have my hotkeys set up still. I do not have my hotkeys set up. I use the buy, the sell, the entry buttons. Look, I use these. I click over here, or I'll click on the DOM. Over here or the DOM. I don't have the hotkey set up. I'm buying a pullback here in the Nikkei. Moonza, am I a full-time trader? Yes. Yep. What's the best way to manage screen time? Maybe set an alarm clock on your phone. Set regular trading hours on your phone. I know in here there's actually a tool where you can set your... I love these tools here on Topstep X. It is the maximum trades per day, your maximum trades per week, and then you could lock yourself out. This is very... what do we want to call this? I don't know. This needs to be utilized a lot more by traders. This needs to be used a lot more by traders to lock out during specific sessions. You could customize it, and you could like change when you're going to be able to trade. When you're done, maybe set an alarm on your phone, lock yourself out. If you're having troubles with taking too many trades per day, per week, this and the tools that are being built on here on Topstep X by by Topstep, and it's just absolutely amazing. And they are definitely underrated in terms of they need to be utilized a lot more by a lot more traders that I see here in the chat and in Discord. They really do. And I'm like, when I start my VIP coaching, I guarantee you one of the main things I'm going to always talk about when I am doing my VIP coaching, and maybe here's a little bit of, I guess, a teaser, because I think it's going to be 50 traders, and these functions is what I'm going to focus on. Like these functions as a coach and as a VIP coach for my trading team, and to try and build the best team to compete in a trading league. This I guess section is where I'm going to focus a majority of my coaching, and the majority of my teaching is going to be here. It's going to be understanding your maximum trades per day, understanding how many trades you should be taking per week, understanding your everything in here, your lockout settings, where you're going to be trading, when you're going to be trading, making sure you're not, taking a trade on your phone. Hey, don't take trades on your phone. If you're going to be on my team, you're not taking a trade on your phone. You shouldn't be. Do not take a trade on your phone. There's going to be, of course, special situations where you might be in a trade, your internet dies, you have to log on to your phone and manage that trade. But getting into a trade on your phone, no, that's a no-go. I would hate to see that, and I want to see this utilized on my team. And then same with personal daily loss limits. You have to have one. I want to make sure all of my traders on the VIP team will be having a personal day loss limit. And to be honest, most likely it's going to be lower than what they want it. I'm going to say, hey, what's your day loss limit? And if they tell me like 3,000, I'm going to say, cut that in half. Personal day loss limit, make it 1,500. And that is the way, this is what I'm going to focus on this. Everything that you see here is how I'm going to be as a VIP coach. We're going to talk purely about risk management, because to me, risk management above everything else. And then everybody, we could talk about not dollars. We're going to talk about ticks, percentage, or points, whichever you like. Ticks, percentage, or points. That's what I want to see. Don't think of the dollar amounts. Think about ticks, percentage, or points when you're trading. Talk about the risk management settings over and over and over again. And maybe I'll probably talk the first 3 months of the VIP coaching session is going to be this. And, maybe the Topstep team just kicks me out from being a coach. Say, Dakota, you're being too strict as a coach. I'm like, hey, you know what? That's how it's going to be. I'm going to be a little more strict than what you guys see here on my slow markets class. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe they just think I'm going to be too strict of a coach and they kick me off and find someone else to coach the team. But yeah, they're like, Dakota, all you do is talk about the risk management settings every single night for the last 6 months. I'm like, well, they're still not using them. They're still suck at risk managing. I can't help it if they're sucking at managing their risk. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have so much fun because I'm going to be looking to build absolutely the best team. And not only is it going to be for the team, it's going to be for themselves. It really is. It's like, hey, this is why you are struggling. And if you don't want to hear the cold, hard truth, then you're going to continue to struggle until you hit your head up against the wall. You figure it out yourself, because I know what's helped me out, and I know what I see in traders all the time, and that is this. That it starts here. It's just like on any sport, trading, and you talk about Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry, Tiger Woods, any Tom Brady, any amazing professional athletes that perform at the highest level. All of the hard work is done behind the scenes. And in trading, this can be considered one of the main parts that's behind the scenes. It's understanding how many trades per day, how many trades per week, what's your personal daily loss limit? You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it. You're not. When it comes to going through the grind, everyone wants to just jump in and start making thousands of dollars their first day in an XFA or their first day in a live account. But that is like saying you want to jump into the NBA and start, dunking over the best player and putting up 30 points per game and, starting off like that. Maybe there's a very, very, very tiny, small percentage of the best that can do it. But that's not how it starts. Tom Brady started out not being the number one pick and working his way. I posted that on Twitter not too long ago about Tom Brady, and that's what it is. It's about doing the hard stuff good and consistent. And as soon as traders start to realize that they need to perfect this kind of stuff first, then and only then will they be able to focus on the process. Then they could start being able to place, 1, 2, 3 minis following that same exact process to where they don't get emotional and they don't sabotage themselves and end up hitting their daily loss limits over and over and over again, and then hitting and blowing their account up and losing their accounts. Because I'm a firm believer of it's about the trenches. It is. It's tough. It is. And I would rather. Yeah, I'd rather focus on that kind of stuff first, and probably for the first 3 months when I'm on the VIP league. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Seems like, I don't know, Nest, Alocrez. I have no idea what you mean. How do we get... So there's going to be a drawing. If you stay tuned to Topstep TV during the day show, there will be a drawing in January. They've been doing a check-in list all the time. Oh. I'm past emotions on Heartless at this point. I'll watch it and still on that minus 4,500 so emotionally it don't come from winning. Bankroll. Buyers just rip sellers in half. Where? Nothing's happening. Maybe on the... Yeah, look at that. Look at that. See, why don't I play... all the ones that I actually don't trade work out pretty well. Oh, man, that's a window trade where you're looking from the outside in, but you don't place that trade. MES... Well, same with the NASDAQ. NASDAQ just jumped up. NASDAQ, that was a nice trade. I didn't place it. Still running, Mike. Zorro X-Ray, did Risk Team give you a green light to hold the NQ long? I decided not to, and I'm actually kind of okay. I would, I'm okay if I would have held that NASDAQ. I mean, my long was from 20. I think I got 328 or something, and so I would still be happy with holding a long from 328 and holding that for the rest of this week. To be honest, because my long was what? I don't know. I'll have to replay where my last contract long. It was from this zone. And, yeah, I think that would probably be okay holding it for the rest of the week. One contract NQ long and holding it for the rest of the week. But we came to the conclusion to just wait. I'm going to be done trading for the rest of the year. It's the end of the year. If it was any other day rather than the end of the year day, I would have, but I was okay. I ended up closing that last one out at I think 490s, and I was like, okay, I'm flat, I'm done, locked myself out, and yeah, call it a year. Calling it a year. Done for the year. I ended up finishing. Oh man, I had it down somewhere. I'll tell you 1 second. So I ended up finishing 546,000 for my trading here at Topstep. 546,000 for trading here at Topstep. Let's see. Yes, 546. So I'm gonna do and review the statistics. Maybe I'll make a comment or a post regarding what I come starting, maybe over the new year. We'll see. We shall see. But I'm done for the year. Calling it. It was not my best trading year. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes this year. Very frustrating ones. I've left a lot of money on the table. It was maybe a C minus grade type year at first glance on my trading. For my day trading on the NASDAQ at Topstep, my personal accounts has been a little bit better because it's options trader. I'm a lot better at options trading than I am futures trading. So I'm much better at options than this futures day trading stuff. So my futures day trading that you guys see here at Topstep on YouTube, C minus. It's been ugh. Or should I limit? Okay. It's not been that bad, 8 Mile. But I'm talking about the process. There's ways that I could clean up my process on the way that I day trade. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about the process. Dakota, I am a scalper and just want to ask about live account. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Okay. I want to make sure I understand this question correct. I am a scalper and just want to ask about the live account. I usually scalp 5 to 10 points. Is there any fill issues with 10 to 15 contracts scalping if limit orders are done? No, Ali. If you're using limit orders on the NASDAQ, you shouldn't see any issues with fills. You won't see slippage because limit orders, you don't see slippage on limit orders. You get that price or better, typically just that price. And it depends on the time of day that you're trading. I want to make sure that that's clear. My answer is it depends because it depends on the time of day you're trading, right? If you're trading during now, the Asian session, 10 to 15 contracts, look at the DOM, right? There's not 10 or 15 contracts here. If you use a limit order, say at this, I don't know, somewhere at the bid, then you might not get all 10 or 15 contracts filled. Maybe you'll get a partial fill and the market goes in your favor. But if you're trading during the New York session, then I haven't seen any issues with 10 to 15 contracts. 10 to 15 contracts is very, very small with the amount of liquidity that is in these futures markets, like the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, you'll have no issue with liquidity with 5 to 10 to 15 contracts. If you're using limit orders, the only time you'll find issues with fills in a live account is when you are doing market orders. You'll get slippage. You'll get more slippage in a live account than you would in a sim account because they're real orders going through the books and hitting the exchanges because it's real money. It's live money. Yeah. BTD buy the dip, coach on the 546. What account size did you start with on 112024? I don't think I started on the first of the year. I think I started in February. So I didn't trade. I don't think I traded in January. Maybe I started the end of January, but I mainly started trading the accounts here at Topstep in February. And I started with 150K trade account. If that helps you, do you only trade futures at night? I'm new here. Brian, trader. No. If you watch Topstep TV, I do trade during the New York session open. I'll trade during power hour, but I primarily focus on slow markets, which is you're seeing right here, right now. It starts at 6:30 Central or 7:30 Central, and it goes for an hour and a half. Tonight it's the holidays, and I am going to be ending in 3 minutes. It is the holidays. It's an hour. It's an hour's class. It's usually an hour on Sunday as well because it's Sunday, and then the other nights it's an hour and a half. Monday through Thursday night is an hour and a half, all at the same time, 7:30 Central, and it's pretty fun. I enjoy it. Sometimes there's a lot of great trade setups. Sometimes the markets are moving, and then sometimes it's super boring and super slow. That's why it's slow markets, right? That is why it is slow markets for sure. What is the date today? Today's the 30th, correct? Yeah, I'm just correcting something on my end. There we go. Perfect. So anyway, I think that is where I'm going to end it, everybody. Like, I am off. I'm done. I'm probably going to be done for the rest of the year. And I probably won't trade for the rest of the year. Probably won't even get on to YouTube for the rest of the year. And I will see everybody next year, 2025. It was a good 2024. I appreciate everybody. We made a lot of progress here in slow markets, and it's been really, really fun. I think 2025 is going to be even better. There's so much coming. There's so much going on behind the scenes that I'm extremely excited for as a trader and as a coach. I will look forward to then. Until then, see you, everybody, and Happy New Year. Take care.